Everything interesting that anyone accomplishes in their life is done because of will to power. At some point, they decide, I just have to do it, and they do it. There are unlimited gurus. There are unlimited motivational speakers. There are unlimited guides. There are unlimited training routines out there. Just think about this, like the amount of time that I've spent reading nutrition books. If I had just adopted the nutrition policies out of any one of them, it literally almost doesn't matter which one, I would be in better health, right? I don't need to keep reading. So it's a form of procrastination. It's like intellectual accumulation, keeping me busy from doing the actual thing. Again, you get what you want out of life. You just have to want it badly enough. If it's your all-consuming desire, you will get it. You will create the path to the destination no matter what it takes. So I think a lot of the right answer here is just not fooling yourself about whether you want or don't want something. Like, for example, I kind of adopted this internal deal with myself, which is I said, hey, I'm not going to break my own word to myself. If I make myself a promise, I will not break my word to myself. Okay, great. Now, I get to say that, and it's only good once. It's only good until the first time I break my word with myself. Then that technique, that whole system of techniques no longer works. So now if I want to drop a bad habit, like say if I want to drop caffeine, I can't lie to myself and go through this whole rigmarole where I pretend to drop caffeine and I struggle to drop caffeine and I try to drop caffeine. Like, no, if I give myself my word to drop caffeine, then I have to drop caffeine. Otherwise, I'm never going to trust myself ever again. And boy, wouldn't that be terrible? So that really puts things into a stark focus, right? It makes it clear that most of what we think we're doing when we're asking for help, when we're going to seminars, when we're watching YouTube videos, we're just procrastinating. We're not really serious. When you're serious, you just do it. So a lot of this is really not about struggling or trying. It's about figuring out what you are serious about. There's a common belief now that it's impossible to drop habits. Like you can only replace them, or you have to go through this massive 12-step process of changing. Yeah, it's not easy to drop habits. It's not easy at all. But I'll tell you, everyone in this room has at some point in their life gone through a situation where they've struggled with something, they have a hard time with something. It could even be a relationship, like you're in love with somebody. Then you see something about that person in one brief moment that you cannot unsee. Or someone betrays you or backstabs you, you see them for who they are, and you can't unsee it. And that's it, you're changed. At that moment, they're gone. Or if you are addicted to some substance or to some kind of food that is bad for you, or just some general habit, and then you see the damage that it's causing. Like, for example, if you were smoking and then you got lung cancer, right? And if you saw very clearly that was causing you the lung cancer, you would drop the smoking. So a lot of times we're just in this conflict avoidance mode where we're pretending to work on things that we don't really want. So I don't believe in struggling anymore. I just think it's much more about just being very, very clear with yourself. Do I really want to drop this? And if I really want to drop this, then I give myself my word that I have dropped this, and I will never waver from that. Because if I do, then I can never trust myself again. So it's a lot about just focusing on what you absolutely genuinely want and then following through with it and ignoring all the noise, because otherwise the world is just full of too much noise. You live your life, you be happy, and then if you really want to manifest something, then you go after that thing and you nail it. But don't do things halfway. Don't just try to look cool. Don't just try to look good. Either do it or don't do it. I think that in general in life, we spend a lot of time procrastinating by learning, right? And it's by reading books, it's by reading tweets, it's by asking people, because we're sort of kind of deciding how committed we want to be to something. But when we are finally committed, then we take action. So there's nothing wrong with trying to get the data to decide whether you want to commit to something or not. But I think most accomplishment comes from making a commitment, an internal commitment, that this is something that I cannot do without. It is unacceptable to me if I don't get this thing. And when you finally get to that stage, then you just act. And most learning isn't acting. right? Like one of the things that we've seen happen in 2020 is the wholesale failure of institutions across the board. And part of the reason is I think institutions have been unmasked as mostly intellectual, right? They're thinking in the abstract, they're thinking top down. A lot of the intelligentsia don't actually have real world experience solving the problem at hand. The only way to solve a problem is to act on it. And that's where the greatest learning comes. It comes through failure, it comes through action, it comes through repetition, right? Malcolm Gladwell famously said, like, to become an expert in anything, you got to put in the 10,000 hours. The tweak I put on it, I think Gladwell would agree, it's really 10,000 iterations, not 10,000 hours. And it's not 10,000, obviously, it's just a lot of iterations. But iterations are where you do something and then you examine the outcome, you take the feedback, and then you do it again, but in a slightly different way with the learning from the previous time applied. And you just keep doing that. And that's how we as humans accomplish anything. It's always by doing lots and lots of iterations. So when we're asking for advice, when we're asking for help, when we're asking for mentorship, we're looking for books, we're watching videos, what we're really doing is we're deciding like, am I going to commit to do this thing? And when you commit to do this thing, you're going to just start the process of doing the thing, and you're going to do the iterations. And I think that's what separates the successful, quote unquote, from the unsuccessful. The only difference, the difference that luck makes is how many iterations it's going to take you. Is it going to take you 500 or 10,000? Right? That's the difference that luck makes. It also makes a difference in magnitude. Okay, you're going to build a business, it's going to be a $10 million business or a $100 million business or a $1 billion business. There's a lot of luck involved in that. But if you're going to succeed or not eventually, I don't think luck has a whole lot to do with that. That's just the number of iterations and how many iterations it's going to take you. So once you've decided you want to do something, just get moving.
How do I start a business? How do I start talking to people? How do I start pursuing my goals? By starting. Asking for advice is making you stupid. Most people ask for advice because they fear the embarrassment and failure that everyone else went through to achieve their goals. Now, don't get me wrong. Advice is not always a bad thing. But if the 99% of people that are unsuccessful ask for 99% of the advice, maybe there is a lesson there. That's why there are books upon books on how to start a business or how to get six-pack abs, and 99% of people still don't have those things. And 99% of the questions that people ask are so vague that it is literally impossible to answer. It's just a waste of time to ask the question in the first place. Because it's like, yes, let me write 4 books and create 100 YouTube videos on the subject so you can completely understand it to the point where you can avoid any and all trial and error and failure that I went through in order to get what you want. Write your own book, live your own life, stop sitting around doing things that don't result in experience boosts. You will never get a truly actionable answer by outsourcing your entire learning journey out of fear of that journey. The problem is a lack of understanding. People don't understand how to learn. They've never sat down and contemplated what the learning process looks like. And most people haven't asked for advice on how to learn. So my point is that people are asking the wrong questions from the start. When they approach a new goal, they don't have the learning process framing their decisions. Only once you are in a state of pain, struggle, or challenge can you receive the insight necessary to transcend to the next level. Observation. Most smart people I know, when they want to learn something, immediately Google what they want and go down a rabbit hole. Everyone else asks for all the information to be given to them, rarely get a complete answer, and get distracted within 5 minutes. Self-experimentation is the only way to solve your problems for good. Self-experimentation and self-reliance go hand in hand. They feed into each other. Self-experimentation is how you avoid the dangerous nature of prescriptions and how-to advice. Here's a hypothetical problem: not having enough money to do what you enjoy with your time. So person A follows exactly what a money guru says. They start investing a few bucks here and there. They play it safe with their stocks. They downgrade their car so they don't have that monthly expense. And person B, they pull advice from multiple sources to make decisions for themselves. They use how-to advice, but only to discover principles that can be integrated into the pursuit of their goals. They study religiously, but do not attach to business, health, or social ideologies that keep them stagnant. Eventually, with education and effort, it clicks and they know how to make it work. Don't be an advice junkie. Do what you want and get better at doing it through education and effort.